Welcome, everyone, to another episode. I am joined today by Grant Holden from our Solutions Architect team. And just a reminder, I am your host, Kate Port, here with Digibee. So, Grant, thank you so much for joining.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I was saying before this that we work together, but we don't ever have a lot of time one-on-one, right? So it's really nice to get a chance to just say hello and talk shop a little bit. So you're on our team of solutions architects, which is, I think, such a crucial part of how we grow here at Digibee, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But before we get started, talk about your experience and your journey at Digibee and prior to Digibee. What are you all about?
Yeah, so I'm a black belt architect at Digibee right now. I've been at Digibee for a few months now. I kind of just landed in what I call the most amazing opportunity I've had in my whole career. But yeah, before that, I mean, I've been in the IT field for well over 15 years now. I started very young, and I just kind of worked my way up from, desktop support to business integrations, and then now architecture. So here I am, and I'm having a whole lot of fun.
Well, I love it. I think that the core thread there to me when I hear about it is the idea of helping people when it comes to technology, right? So I love that that's a part of your journey and your ethos. Well, again, I think the topic today is cloud migration and a methodology to support that. People are always looking for ways to get work done more quickly through the use of frameworks. Think about project management frameworks, marketing strategies, right? We want something that I would say is kind of like the answer to the test, but it's more of like the guide to the test, right? Because you've got to fill in your own answers. We've talked a lot about cloud migration. I think it's kind of at the core of what we're able to empower developers to get done here at Digibee. And it's really surprising how much we're still encountering it. We see everything is moving to the cloud, right? From a consumer standpoint, everything that we do lives in the cloud. I was a DJ prior to, when I was in college. And so my music all of a sudden going up into the cloud, I was like, hold on a second. I like to have those files, right? We all have that need. And so this journey to cloud migration is the same kind of anxiety-ridden process for technologists. And so the topic might feel like it's a little bit overdone, but what has your experience been with spending 15 years with technologists and trying to do this? What have you heard and where has that taken you on your journey?
Yeah, I mean, you hear so much stuff. You hear things like, hey, we're afraid to move to the cloud because of XYZ reason. A lot of them are like, well, we have a lot of technical debt, or I'm not really sure my data is going to be secure in the cloud. How do I access my data? What happens when I need to like restore a backup or something? And, everybody's really used to having their data and their systems on premise because they can control everything. And when you move to the cloud, some people think that, there's a loss of control there, but really, if you use the right tools, you have all of the control that you had on premise, but you also get the security of, making sure your data is always available to you. It's never lost. And ultimately, it's a faster process because you're running on servers that are way faster than your on-premise servers could ever be. So it's a good thing to migrate to, but there is like a little bit of that, like a fear associated with it. And, people like me are here to help you get past that fear and also help you get to the cloud in the most efficient way possible.
I love that. And I think what's really interesting is that you've identified the roadblock potentially more so on the people side in that change management than in the technology and the support. Would you say that that's, if you were to identify one or two things, I mean, what's the leading cause of what might be a roadblock to migrating everything to the cloud?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, in my opinion, is like, again, technical debt. You have this on-prem system that might be 10, 15 years old, and you are like, well, how do I even do this, right? And then up until recently, and as the years go on, the cloud tools become easier to use or better or more efficient. So back when, I mean, this is maybe 10 years ago at this point, but back when like people were still talking about or just starting to talk about going to the cloud, it was a lot harder than it is to do today. Today, it's very easy to do. So, and especially with platforms like Digibee and, all the other cloud hosting platforms, it's kind of like you log in and you set things up and you go from there. And I don't want to make it sound too easy, but it's a lot easier than what it was.
Well, speaking of easy, because I'm sure that some people listening are thinking to themselves, holy moly, what is Grant talking about? It's not that easy. I think we have identified this methodology and this process based on some of the bigger brands out there and how they've implemented cloud migration strategies and initiation. We have this really nice piece of work called the Digibee 6-step to cloud migration. And I think it would come out much better from you than from me as a marketing person and the host of this podcast. Why don't you talk about what your experience has been with that cloud migration process that Digibee has set up, and maybe walk the audience through what it looks like?
Yeah, it's a really, at a high level, very simple process, or it sounds simple anyway, but we have this 6-step process, and really it all is possible because of the Digibee platform, right? So just really quick, at a high level, first step is to plan and design your new system on the cloud. Second step is to synchronize your data. Third step is to decouple and connect your data. The fourth step is to validate your data. The fifth step is to transfer data. And then finally, you go live, which is the sixth step. I'll go into those if you want in just a minute. But really, the reason why we came up with this methodology here is to try to enable people and businesses to get to the cloud in the most efficient way possible. And one of the main factors of that is that really it's just that you're migrating your system in parallel. What happens is like you have your old on-premise system or your old cloud system even, and you're saying, okay, I'm going to set everything up on this new cloud-based system, and I'm going to run it in parallel until I'm ready to cut over. And our platform makes it really easy for you to do that.
That's a big thing that I've heard from our customers in why they've chosen our platform over others. And it's certainly not a knock on what's out there, but I think one of the big benefits is, well, I want to have those two systems, right? I mean, think of it as even as simple as getting a new computer. There's some period of time where you want those two to sync and work with each other. And when we do a cloud migration, it can be really overwhelming because there's this looming deadline of breaking off those systems. But the reality is that if you can find a solution, as far as I understand it, right? Cheap seats over here. If you can find a solution that allows you to have those in parallel and then do the cutover when you're ready, it seems like that's part of what the differentiation is in this process when comparing Digibee with others.
Yeah, and when you have it in parallel and you've built out your new system, ultimately you already have your data. So in one of the steps we talk about validating data, and the really good part is like, well, it's already there. So when you're like, okay, I'm ready to go live, it's really just like going live. You can just say, okay, I'm using this new system now. And what that does for you is it enables you to decommission your old system faster and also migrate to the cloud more fast as well.
If you were to look at this process and say one of the things to either watch out for or cautions for the audience, or for someone that you're working with today, one of our prospects or customers, what might you say?
Yeah, the big thing I always tell people to check for are like the old system gotchas. They're like the things that have been kind of laying around in the old system, where you're like, okay, I'm going to move to the cloud, everything's going to be great, and then you're like, oh, but wait, I remember I had that one bug in here, and I kind of just put a Band-Aid on it. It's like, look out for those, because those are the things that are going to elongate your process, but also those are the opportunities that you get to make your process better.
It's so hard to remember and keep a list of all those things, especially as employees and knowledge is shared with and between. But I think the benefit of Digibee, not only the platform, but the people.
Right.
So I think one of the things that we've been able to do here at Digibee is by empowering development to say, hey, so you go through this 6-step process, and we'll help you once you identify those gotchas, right? And we'll come up with an idea for how to solve that.
Right.
Perfect. Well, I love it. And thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure we could talk about this and maybe even will talk about it more on a future episode. But Grant, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely, no problem.
And we'll have you on another episode quite soon. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks. And thanks for having me as well.